I've got 12 crazy space facts that will blow your mind. I bet you don't know at least one of them. Don't forget to stay until the end of the video for the big finale. In our solar system, there is an entire planet made out of diamonds. It might be hard to imagine how this could be possible, but this planet is estimated to be worth over $26 billion. This is a huge amount, and it would make anyone who found this planet very rich. But it's not just diamonds that are valuable in space. There are also asteroids worth trillions of dollars floating around. These asteroids are made up of precious metals like platinum, gold, and silver, which are all very expensive on Earth. In fact, some of these asteroids are worth more than $10 trillion. However, it's not easy to get to these asteroids as they are located far away from Earth. In fact, some of these asteroids are so far away that it would take years to travel there. Despite this, some companies are already planning to go after these asteroids and mine them for their valuable resources. With the right technology, we could potentially extract these resources and bring them back to Earth, where they could be used to create new products, or even used as investments. This could be a great way to help humanity become more sustainable, as we would have to rely on mining on Earth, which can cause a lot of damage to the environment. The universe is constantly expanding. This means that galaxies are moving away from each other at a faster speed. And here's where things get really interesting. Scientists believe that this expansion of the universe is actually speeding up. What does this mean for us here on Earth? Well, according to some experts, it means that we should be worried. As the universe expands, everything in it will eventually be pulled apart. Even the bonds between atoms will be broken, and matter as we know it will cease to exist. Others, however, are not so pessimistic. They believe that the expansion of the universe is simply a sign of the universe's natural evolution. They argue that as the universe continues to expand, new stars and galaxies will be born and life will continue to evolve. Only time will tell what the ultimate fate of the universe will be. Venus is the second planet from the Sun, and is often referred to as Earth's twin, because of its similar size and mass. However, Venus is a very inhospitable place, with a very thick atmosphere that traps heat and creates a runaway greenhouse effect. The surface temperature of Venus is about 375 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. Despite the harsh conditions on Venus, scientists are still trying to explore the planet. There are several reasons why Venus is such a difficult planet to explore. First of all, the thick atmosphere makes it very hard for spacecraft to land on the surface. The pressure at the surface of Venus is about 90 times that of Earth's atmosphere, which is equivalent to being 900 meters or 3,000 feet underwater. This makes it very hard for spacecraft to land on the surface without being crushed. Secondly, the high temperature on Venus makes it very hard for spacecraft to operate. Most spacecraft are made out of metal, which can become very weak at high temperatures. This means that spacecraft could potentially break down before they even reach the surface of Venus. Finally, the lack of water on Venus makes it very hard for spacecraft to cool down. Water is essential for cooling down spacecraft because it has a very high heat capacity. This means that it can absorb a lot of heat without increasing in temperature. Without water, spacecraft can easily overheat and break down. Despite these challenges, scientists are still trying to explore Venus, because it could potentially hold the key to understanding our own planet's past. Scientists believe that Venus was once very similar to Earth, but something went wrong and it turned into a runaway greenhouse. By studying Venus, we could learn how to prevent Earth from going the same way. You can hear sounds from another galaxy. While watching the night sky, you may have heard a faint humming noise. This is the sound of the Big Bang, the event that is believed to have caused the formation of the universe. This cosmic hum can be heard throughout the entire universe, and is a reminder of the incredible power that created everything we see around us. The Big Bang Theory is the prevailing cosmological model for the universe. It describes how the universe evolved from an extremely hot and dense state, and expanded over time. According to this theory, the Big Bang was not an explosion in space, but rather the expansion of space itself. Since the Big Bang, the universe has been expanding and cooling, which has allowed matter to form and collapse into stars and galaxies. There's a black hole at the center of every galaxy. Black holes are regions in space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape their grasp. They are formed when massive stars collapse at the end of their lives and are one of the most mysterious phenomena in the universe. At the center of most galaxies, including our own Milky Way, lies a supermassive black hole. This means that our galaxy has a giant black hole at its core, and while it may seem scary, it also provides us with some unique opportunities. For example, by studying the black hole at the center of our galaxy, we can learn more about how matter behaves under extreme conditions. We can also use the black hole as a tool to detect objects that are invisible to other telescopes. Because black holes are so massive, they have a strong gravitational pull. This means that they can bend light around them, making objects that are behind them appear distorted. This effect is known as gravitational lensing, and can be used to study objects that are otherwise invisible to telescopes. Space smells like a dirty sock. When astronauts return to Earth from space, they often report that it smells like a dirty sock. This is because the air in space is filled with a variety of molecules that create a unique odor. Some of these molecules are organic compounds that are released from rocks and soil on other planets. Others are produced by living things such as bacteria. In addition to the smell of space, astronauts also report seeing a bright light when they enter the atmosphere of a planet. This is due to the interaction between the molecules in the atmosphere and the radiation from the sun. As the molecules absorb energy from the sun, they emit light. This light is what astronauts see as a bright flash. Earth is just a tiny speck of dust in the grand scheme of the universe. When you look up at the night sky, it is easy to feel small and insignificant. The vastness of space and the countless stars that twinkle back at you can make our planet seem very tiny. But this feeling of insignificance is actually what makes Earth so special. When we look up at the night sky, we are reminded of how lucky we are to live on a planet that is capable of supporting life. We are also reminded of how interconnected we are with everything else in the universe. Everything on Earth is made up of the same stuff as the stars and planets in the sky. We are literally made of stardust. The Apollo missions to the moon were not televised. Although millions of people watched on television, as Neil Armstrong became the first human to walk on the moon in 1969, the reality was much different. The Apollo 11 mission, which carried Armstrong and 2 other astronauts to the moon, did not have any cameras on board. Instead, the astronauts had to rely on voice transmissions to communicate with the world. This meant that the only way to watch the moon landings was through the eyes of the astronauts. There was no video feed to edit or control. What viewers saw was exactly what the astronauts were seeing. This made the moon landings all the more exciting and gave viewers a sense of really being there. There are no birds in space. When you think of space, you probably imagine a vast, empty void. And for the most part, that's accurate. There are billions of stars and planets scattered throughout the universe, but there is very little in the way of actual matter. Space is mostly made up of empty space, or vacuum. This is because matter tends to clump together in certain areas, such as near stars or around planets. There are a few exceptions to this rule. For example, there is a thin layer of gas that surrounds the sun known as the corona. This corona is not visible from Earth, because it is blown away by the solar wind, but it can be seen during solar eclipses. There is also a thin layer of gas that surrounds Earth known as the atmosphere. This atmosphere protects us from harmful radiation from the sun and also allows us to breathe. But it is very thin compared to the volume of space around us. In fact, if you were to compress the atmosphere and make it the same density as the rest of space, it would only be about 3 inches thick. This is why birds cannot fly in space. Their wings need air to generate lift, and there is simply not enough air in space to support flight. On Jupiter, it rains diamonds bigger than grizzly bears. Diamonds are one of the hardest minerals on Earth and are highly valued for their beauty and rarity. But did you know that on the planet Jupiter, it rains diamonds bigger than grizzly bears? That's right. The swings in temperature and pressure on Jupiter's surface create the perfect condition to cause diamonds to rain. These diamonds are humongous and reach millions of carats in size. Imagine finding a diamond the size of a house on Jupiter. That's what it's like on this mysterious planet. Every star in the sky has an Earth twin somewhere out there. Our planet is just one of many that could support life in the vastness of space. There are countless planets out there that could have their own unique forms of life. Just think about the possibilities. Subscribe for more crazy and horrifying space facts.